Hi everyone, and welcome back to Liberty Park Music for another piano etudes lesson. For the next couple of lessons, we're going to be looking at a few pieces out of a compendium of teaching pieces called 50 Piano Pieces for Beginners by the 19th century German composer Hermann Berens. Berens was a student of Carl Czerny, who, if you may remember, was a student of Beethoven. So these pieces are going to give us the opportunity to continue working on the blend between our melodic and accompaniment material, and are also going to give us the opportunity to look at some slightly less conventional time signatures. So let's take a look at the first one. Both of the pieces we'll be looking at between this lesson and the next have very clear 16-bar forms. As always, this is a great opportunity to look for repetitions. Here you can see that measures 1 through 4 are exactly copied again between measures 9 through 12, and the right hand is the same between 5 through 7 and 13 through 15. You've probably noticed that this piece is in general very repetitive looking, with the right hand maintaining the same rhythm throughout, which we'll talk more about shortly, and the left hand mostly holding on to this rising figure, but take note of the left hand in measures 7 and 8 and 14 and 15. Between those two spots is a surprising bit of a variation that doesn't sound like much when you're just listening to the piece, but is actually a little tricky once you get to working on it. So, obviously, we'll be talking about that as well. Let's point out our preliminaries as usual. This piece has 2 treble clefs happening, so watch out for that. The lowest note of the first measure in the left hand is middle C. Notice that we have no tempo or dynamic markings. As with the Cornelius Gurlitt piece we looked at a few lessons ago, this piece is part of a much larger set that you're pretty much just supposed to blast through one after another. So there's a minimal amount of auxiliary information on the page beyond the notes themselves. I've chosen to retain that minimalism here. I think it provides you with a good opportunity to work out your own speed and dynamics, and I encourage you to experiment a bit and see what you think works both for you and for the piece. Lastly, I'm sure you're wondering about that 3/8 time signature. Now, this is what we call a simple meter, which is a time signature in which the grouping of beats falls right in line with the number of beats indicated in the top number of the time signature. In this case, that number of beats is 3, so we would call this a simple triple meter. Now, here's where we start getting into the slightly subjective zone of time signature identities. Is 3/8 the same as 3/4 but with eighth notes, or what's the difference between cut time and regular common time in terms of feel? All of that stuff. And there are certainly lots of answers out there for you to explore. In fact, we have some great video lessons on the theory of it all by our Liberty Park music theory teacher, Nicole DePaolo, on the website, so do check out those. Nicole, by the way, is also a great pianist. But for now, all I'll say is that we commonly see this time signature 3/8 used in slightly faster contexts, and we often end up feeling it as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, kind of like that. I actually think that's quite appropriate for this piece, but let's take a look at some of the details so that you can decide for yourself. As with many pieces in 3, you definitely want to make sure you know how things line up on the beat grid, or in other words, how the notes line up mathematically with the beats. But ideally, you want to get to the point at which you're playing the feel of the 3, which tends to be more pronounced than with 4 or 2. Now, I say all of this as a way to start looking at this rhythm we have in the right hand here. It's certainly important to be able to line up the quarter note to eighth note rhythm with the 3/8 notes happening in the left hand. The fact that you have those left hand eighth notes so regularly is actually very helpful for that. But you want to try to get to the point at which you're really just comfortable with the feel of the short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. So I'm just looping the E to G back and forth to get comfortable with that long, short, long, short, long. Well, hopefully you're already pretty comfortable with comparing the note values, but just in case, for those of you who may not be, remember that we have 2/8 notes fitting into that 1/4 note in the right hand, and then the last eighth note in the measure is beat 3, which is probably easiest to see and hear when played together with the left hand playing its 3/8 notes all together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, fortunately, once you have that feel, it's the only rhythm you play for the entire piece pretty much, so that makes things much easier. Thanks for watching this lesson from Liberty Park Music. If you enjoyed this lesson and learned something from it, do us a favor, hit that like button. And if you really liked it, share it around. Let your friends and family check it out too. If you want to find more lessons like this or explore other piano-related topics, please come visit us at libertyparkmusic.com. We have full piano courses ranging from beginner to more advanced levels, and everything is online and streaming 24/7 so that you can design your music learning around your schedule and learn in the comfort of your own home from a talented roster of professional teachers and musicians. Come check us out.